Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the August 7th, 2019 meeting of the City of Newport News Planning Commission. The chair recognizes Commissioner Beth Willis to read our creed.
Okay. The Newport News Planning Commission is mandated by state law, and its members are appointed by City Council. Section 15.2-2210 of the Code of Virginia states, in part, that every locality shall create a planning commission in order to promote the orderly development of the locality and its environment. The statutory purpose is to improve the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare of the citizens, and to plan the future development of the communities. In serving this statutory purpose, the Commission invites the comments at the public hearing of its interested citizens of matters before it and welcomes your presence. Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the agenda before us.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we adopt the agenda before us. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We will now have our invocation by Commissioner Dr. Reverend Maxwell.
Yes. Lord, thank you for this day. We thank you that we're here another day to serve you. And we just ask for you to allow us to make the best decisions for this great city of Newport News. We ask for you to continue to lead our chairman, lead our planning commission, lead our planning office. And we ask for you, again, to allow us to make the best decisions based on those individuals here. And
Good afternoon, Chairman Simmons and Commissioners. I am here to present application CU-2019-0006, submitted by Studio 128 LLC, requesting a conditional use permit for operation of a banquet/function hall in the C2
Excuse me,
General
can you
Commercial
move
District.
over to the mic? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Over here. That would be a microphone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was over there. Should I go by that again, or are we good with the intro?
We heard you. We just
Okay.
want you to move over for future reference.
Okay, thank you. The proposed location for the banquet hall facility is 7202 Warwick Boulevard. The 10.9 acre property contains a 10,037 square foot building and is entirely paved with the exception of a narrow strip of vegetation in the rear of the building. The property lies within a predominantly commercial corridor with residential uses across Warwick Boulevard. Adjacent properties include One Stop Auto to the north, CSX Railroad Road to the east, Spunios Hair Salon to the south, and Huntington on the James Apartments to the west. Other facilities in the area include auto sales and service, business offices, convenience stores, also the Four Oaks Day Service Center, and various small retail establishments. The North End Huntington Heights Historic District of single-family housing is just to the southwest. The property has been zoned C2 General Commercial since the citywide comprehensive rezoning occurred in August of 1997. The parking requirements are one space per 100 square feet for banquet hall use, and one space per 300 square feet of office use. Bulk storage areas are excluded from the parking calculation. Engineering department staff comments called for the submittal of a traffic impact statement with the Class 2 site plan. It was also noted that a 24-foot wide aisle is required to utilize the property in the rear of the building for parking. Existing utilities on the site are sufficient to serve the property. The 6 co-owners are indicated in the business plan as being the facility's employees. The entire building will be limited to a maximum of 300 total occupants, and this includes guests and caterers and servers, entertainment, and all other staff. Events will end by 11 o'clock p.m. as specified in the rental contract. The building was previously utilized as a church and a charity clothing distribution facility. Conversion to the building into a banquet hall will reactivate the space and provide a new and vibrant use for the community. The proposed plan includes a total of 75 parking spaces, which satisfies the city's off-street parking requirements, in this case for 7,261 square feet of banquet hall use, and 356 square feet of office space. A ramp and fencing and an abandoned entryway along the south side of the building will be removed to provide the 24-foot wide aisle, drive aisle, to facilitate the parking behind the building. The existing brick monument sign is proposed to be reutilized. Landscaping improvements will be installed along Warwick Boulevard and at the building entrance to help improve the visual appearance of the site. And site lighting will also be shielded as necessary to avoid any spillover effects. In conclusion, the proposed use of a banquet function hall is consistent with the One City, One Future Comprehensive Plan 2020, which indicates community commercial uses for this property. The application meets all regulatory requirements, and it will enhance the commercial vitality of Warwick Boulevard. As conditioned, the banquet function hall use is compatible with and not injurious to the surrounding properties. As such, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit CU 2019-0006 to allow for the operation of a banquet function hall and office space at 7202 Warwick Boulevard with conditions. There are a total of 17 conditions, and I'll just highlight the key conditions here. As previously indicated, the building's total occupancy shall be limited to 300, with events ending at 11 p.m. There shall be no outdoor storage on the property, and signage shall be restricted to the monument sign, and any future signage will require the planning director's approval. A Class 2 site plan shall be submitted for approval to include parking lot striping and landscaping and appropriate signage and lighting details. And all the other additional standard conditions are included in the staff report. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prasad. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Fox.
Wondering, this is a banquet hall. Will the catering be brought in, or will the food be prepared there?
The applicant has indicated there's very limited kitchen facilities there, so it's mostly for warming. So most likely caterers would come like in a van or something and provide.
So you could have a wedding in there and bring in cakes and food?
Exactly, yeah.
that
They'll
type
have
of thing. And
limited
I'm-
kitchen facilities, but not like a full-blown commercial
So
kitchen.
it's a great use of an empty building.
It really is, yeah.
I would say, I would agree with Ms. Fox. It's a great reuse of the building. I think it's important to note that it is a historically significant building, because prior to it being a church, it was the home of Hampton Roads Harley Davidson. It's where I bought my first Harley Davidson, so it's an important building.
So you go back.
I go
How
way
many
back.
years?
How many years?
I'm not gonna tell you how many years.
Remember, you have a daughter here.
There's a reason why I don't have the Harley anymore.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
I did
Commissioner.
just a couple questions.
Sure.
I guess one, I just kind of want to make sure we're talking about an events place and not a nightclub. There's a difference between the two.
Yep,
And everything, as far as conditional use, has it limited to an events location, correct?
yes, that's why the events end at 11 o'clock. There's also a stipulation that the entire site be vacated between midnight and 6 a.m. I think that was the standard condition the police came up with in other cases. And then the occupancy is limited.
Okay. And then the storage space, how do they determine what's storage space and what's space for the building itself?
Yeah, on the site plan that's included in the packet, there's actually a color coding of what's
Yeah,
the
I saw the
active
color
area
coding.
and the storage.
And that's a solid wall that
Yeah, the storage
can't
is
be moved
is
away to
blocked
enlarge
off.
the size of the building?
And it would house things like chairs and tables and boxes of decorations and things like that, that would only be utilized when people would rent the facility.
Okay, yeah. The reason I asked was because of the parking, you know, it just makes, it's right on the money as far as the parking. I didn't know if things had been moved to create that temporarily or if it was a permanent structure. I know we've had questions in the past from other people who wanted to apply and doing the same thing, but they weren't events location, it was a restaurant, and storage apparently, from what I learned, is included. Is that correct,
Any
Laura?
square footage calculations for parking?
Yes, let me clarify. So in the code, there's different requirements for different types of uses. And in the case of a restaurant, you cannot discount the storage space. In this particular use, you can. So it just depends on what the code requires. In a restaurant use, it doesn't allow for that discounting. In other types of uses, it does. So in this particular case, the storage area is to store like tables and chairs. Not every banquet or event will have use of everything that they have, so they have to have a place to put it.
Okay.
So that's what that is.
I just wanted to clarify in case the citizen asked me, why did they get storage and I didn't get storage, and
Sure.
that kind of a thing. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner
so to
Mulvaney.
Ms. Wils's question regarding a nightclub, how is alcohol defined in this, the consumption of alcohol? Is it a determining factor in the social that they could bring it in? Do they have to have a license? What's the purpose behind that?
So typically what happens is you have an event ABC license, so it's a special event, and you would be required to get your own, or the caterer would get theirs. So it depends on who they're renting it to. You know, for instance, if it's a organization that does an event there, they could go and get an ABC license. If it's a wedding and you have a caterer getting, serving alcohol, they would have to get the ABC license.
And how is the event permit reviewed? I
You
mean,
mean in terms of the ABC
as far
requirements?
as overall, as far as it's an event center, and we're gonna give a conditional use for an event center, so I decide that I wanna have just a dance. I would just wanna have something that comes close to looking like a nightclub. I'm just gonna have a lot of people in there with some small food and some alcohol. So does the city review all of the, or is it just once we do
No.
this? Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't have a door charge, then you can have, the Rotary Club or the Kiwanis Club could decide to do an event there and have somebody, have an ABC special event license. And the ABC regulations are pretty stringent when you do events. I mean,
Right.
Yes.
they're not just, it's not just a free-for-all,
Yes, they are.
so.
They are pretty stringent. Any other questions from our commissioners? I would have to agree that this is a great adapt reuse for this property. So this is great. Any other questions?
I don't know if you would,
Commissioner
if she would know the answer or not. What type of business classification is Studio 128 LLC? Just because the name itself, Studio, I can't tell what type business. Just makes me think of recording music, bands, things like that. Should I ask the applicant?
Well, the applicant is here.
Yeah, the applicant
We
is
can-
here.
we
I'll
can
save
move
it.
They
to the
could describe
next-
their,
We can move to the next phase of our process.
I'll save it.
If no further questions for Ms. Basat, I will now open the public hearing section. The applicant's here for questions only. Please, the applicant can come forward and please state your name and address. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Valerie Chester,
James Chester, 22 Lynn Haven Drive, Hampton, Virginia.
same address.
Same. We actually came up with the name combining all of our birthdays. It had no other significance to it. One of our birthdays is, 3 of our birthdays in August, 2 of our birthdays on the 12th, no, 4 birthdays in August and 2 on the 12th, so we came up with Studio 128.
For Commissioner Carpenter, can you break that down? Because you see 2 of them.
It's 6 of us all together. And,
You're good.
okay.
Giving me a hard time.
Well, good. That's a good concept. That's very good. Any
So-
other questions?
I guess so the business classification, do you do events? The business classification for the company?
We just started doing events. We trying to get into doing events. Me and her actually went to church there, and the building stayed open for a while. And I knew the owner, and he was like, "What can you do with the building?" And I put my little team together, and we came up with this idea for just hosting events. Because it's not a lot of places on this side of the water that host weddings and
Very true.
things of that nature. So.
Okay.
We definitely wish you most success.
Thank
with
you.
this endeavor. Any other questions for the Chesters? If there are no further questions for the Chesters, we thank you for coming and presenting. I will now close, having no further cards and no other one to speak. Tenth, 2019. Thank you very much. Again, this is a great reuse of the building. We wish you well, and we thank you for bringing and deciding to bring a new business idea and concept to the City of Newport News. Our next item is 2019 apartment survey presented by Camden Carpenter.
And I'd just like to introduce Camden. I don't think we had an opportunity to do that this summer
Okay.
because we haven't had many planning commission meetings, but Camden Carpenter is a rising junior. She's been interning with us this summer. She's a rising junior at Virginia Tech, majoring in smart and sustainable cities. She plans to double minor in real estate and geographic information systems. And at Virginia Tech, she researched affordable apartments targeted towards Virginia Tech students to address the off-campus housing crisis in Blacksburg. So I'd like to present to you Camden Carpenter.
Thank you, Ms. Carpenter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Chairwoman, and Planning Commission members. Again, my name is Camden Carpenter. I'm the 2019 summer intern for the Department of Planning. Throughout the past 6 weeks, I collected and analyzed housing data on current market rate conditions in apartments in the city of Newport News. Using this data, I collected it and created the 2019 market rate apartment report. So first, I will be going over data collection, next, number of complexes, and towards the end, I will finish with the square footage. Please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. So the market rate apartment study began in 1999. It is a guide for future housing, and additionally, it is an aid to identify challenges in the rental market. So I collected this data within a 2-week period between June 26th and July 11th. This data can be subject to change because during the summer it is a high peak time of new rental agreements. However, this data was accurate as of when I collected it. So I collected the data from Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Using a multi-tiered approach, so through the phone, through email, and also using websites such as apartments.com. I completed the survey with an 88.6 complex response rate, and although there are 11.4% complexes that did not respond, this data can be an accurate representation of the city's apartments. So overall, the survey consisted of 193 apartments. Broken down, there were 136 market rate apartments, 33 income-based apartments, 22 apartments that were unreachable, 1 apartment complex that consisted of student housing, and 1 apartment complex that was undergoing renovations. This study does only include data from the 136 market rate complexes. Income-based complexes were excluded because their rental rates are determined by their tenant's income rather than a true market rate price. Next, the unreachable complexes, 22 in total, were excluded because they were unable to be contacted through phone or email and were therefore unable to provide information on their complex during my data collection period. There was one complex that consisted of student housing, which I had to exclude because typically student housing is at a lower rate than the market rate to accommodate for students' financial situations. And lastly, there was one complex undergoing renovations, which had to be excluded because it was both vacant as well as closed during the time of renovation, and again was therefore unable to provide accurate information on its complex. So shown on the screen and in your PowerPoint is just a map of the City Council districts. All of my data was broken down by the 3 districts, so North, Central, and South. First, I looked at the year built by district. The average year built is 1979, with the most recently built complexes in the Central District. Central District's average year built is 1985. Next, I looked at the overall units by district. So broken down, the highest number of market rate units are found in the North District with a total of 7,882 units. Overall, there were a total of 21,212 market rate units that participated in this study. Next, I looked at average vacancy rate, and I found that the city's average vacancy rate is 3.97%. The most vacancies I found were in the Central District, a total of 369 vacancies. On the other hand, the South District had the least amount of vacancies with 232. And although the South District's vacancy rate is higher than the North, this is because overall there were fewer market rate units found in the South District than in comparison to the Central and the North Districts. I researched the overall units by type and found that by far the most common unit types were 2-bedroom units. There are actually more of the 2-bedroom units than there are of the studios, 1 beds, 3 beds, and 4 beds combined. And then the least common unit type in the city are studio bedrooms with only 221 of the units. Looking at the number of units by type by district, I found that the North District has the most amount of studio units, and then the South District has the least amount of 2 bedrooms. When analyzing the average rental rates by type, I found that the city's overall average rate is $1,023.34. So the graph on the right side of the presentation depicts both the rental range of each unit type as well as the average rental rate. So as you can see, the 2-bedroom unit has the largest range of rental rates, going anywhere from $450 upwards of $2,000. And then in comparison to last year's data, the overall average rent has not changed that much. Last year's overall average rent was $1,207.37.
Say that again?
Oh, so my data from this year was not that far off from last year's data in comparison when you're looking at the overall average rent. So this year's overall average rent is $1,023.34, and the last year's overall average rent from 2018 was $1,207.37.
$1,270
And 37 cents.
So it's gone down.
Alright. I broke this down even further by looking at average rental rates by type by district. So I found that the most expensive district overall is the Central District, aside from the 1-bedroom units in which the South District has a more expensive 1-bedroom unit. Next, I looked at average square footage by type. So the city's overall average square footage is 992 square feet. And as you can see, these 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms all have square footage above the city's average in comparison to the studios and 1 bedrooms who have a square footage below the city's average. Next, I looked at the average square footage by type by district. So the unit type with the least amount of square feet is the studio bedroom. And then the most square footage overall is a 3-bedroom in the central district. And that square footage is 1,850 square feet on average. Following that, I looked at price per square foot by district. So the overall price per square foot for the city of Newport News is $1.09. As you can see, the north and south districts are below that average in comparison to the central district, which is at $1.20 per square feet, or 11 cents over the overall average for the city of Newport News. So in conclusion, the central district is the most expensive by price per square foot.
Thank you. Very good.
No, that's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I just turn too fast? Yes. I'm sorry. Go one more. I'm cutting you off. She's having a hard time.
She's on a roll.
You're doing good.
Go ahead.
All right, so next I analyzed the price per square foot by type. So overall, the most expensive unit type per square foot is a studio bedroom at $1.46 per square foot. The least expensive is a 3-bedroom unit, which is 84 cents per square foot on average. All right. Breaking this down even further, I analyzed the price per square foot by type by district, and I found that the most expensive unit type per square foot is still a studio bedroom. So the largest difference between the different districts with a studio bedroom is 41 cents between the a North District's studio bedroom and a Central District studio bedroom. So after doing my initial analysis, I hypothesized that the year that a complex was built had to do with a change in rental rates. So of the market rate complexes that were built in the last 5 years that responded to me within the data collection period, a total of 5 complexes were built within the last 5 years. One of these complexes was located in the North District, and the remaining 4 are in the Central District. So there are other apartments that have built within the last 5 years. However, they were unreachable during the time of my data collection and were therefore excluded from this analysis. So the largest difference between a unit's average and a newer complex is for a 3-bedroom unit. They're looking at the the central number 2 in the blue, and then the unit average. It's an 80-cent difference. So overall, all 5 of these complexes have price per square foot way above their respective unit types average. So in conclusion, there has been a steady increase in rental rates by unit type. There is a need for in the city for apartments based off of the city's low vacancy rates. However, they need to be priced appropriately at less than or equal to 30% of the worker's income. So the 2017 median household income was $51,082, and we would hope for the average rent price around $893 to keep people from being rent burdened. So as of now, the only affordable units in the city, according to my analysis, are the studio units and the 1-bedroom units. As an alternative, if one is not comfortable with renting a studio or 1-bedroom, their only alternatives are to find a roommate or to become rent burdened. And then lastly, my data is relatively close to the American Community Survey as of 2017 because the median rent was $985, and in comparison, the overall average that I found for the city was $1,023.34.
When you say the median income, the median rent, is that just across the board rent?
Yes,
And what'd you say ours was 1,000?
$1,023.34.
And it looks like our most expensive units are in the Central District, and that's where our highest vacancy rate is as well.
Yes.
And the 4 bedrooms, I thought that was interesting. I guess they're cheaper because their square footage is really not that great, and they've kind of put 4 bedrooms into what would be normally a 3-bedroom space or something.
So the trend, based on the trends that I found in my analysis, I found that more recently built complexes were only building units as large as 3-bedroom units, and they were excluding the creation of 4-bedroom units. So 3-bedroom units are becoming more popular as far as my analysis goes within the city of Newport News.
It's just interesting to see that 4 bedrooms are actually cheaper.
Go ahead.
I was a little surprised by the lack of number of 2 bedrooms in the southern district, in the south district. Were you able to determine through your vacancy what the vacancy rate was for the 2 bedrooms down there? Is there a need for more of them? Is it, we're just lacking?
So this analysis was only based off of the number of market rate units that were 2-bedroom. So essentially, there are more that were excluded, mostly either income-based or they were unreachable during my data period.
Okay.
But as far as market rate units go, there could be a need for more 2-bedroom units in the South District that are market rate.
So the ones you queried, though, I was just curious if you were able to drill down to find out, did they have any availabilities in the 2-bedroom, or were they completely, so the market was calling for more at that point? Were you able to determine for the ones you spoke with if the 2-bedroom was in need?
So I don't have that data right in front of me,
Okay.
but I would be happy to get back to you on a later
All
time.
right, perfect, thank you.
First, this is amazing. The presentation's amazing. The fact that you're able to get up there and speak is amazing. You have incredible poise, you know. I'm not sure I could have done it
Thank you.
any time in my college career. Did you, by any chance, look and compare this to the region as a whole, not just Newport News, but compare it to what's going on in the region?
I did not. So my analysis was only for the city of Newport News, but that could definitely be something that we would consider during next year's apartment survey.
Camden, I would like to echo Katie's remarks too. I thought you did an excellent job, very poised, and I know your dad here is going to want to take all the credit, but I know better. And I want to make sure your mother gets some too. Excellent job.
Thank
And
you
I'm
very
just
much.
wondering, was there any opportunity to determine with how many new units are coming online? And I just wonder how that could skew some of the results and the data, but I guess that'll be next summer's.
So the list of apartments that I got was based off of the list of apartments from last year's survey, as well as development permits within the city. And then from that initial list, I excluded all of the ones that were undergoing renovations, the student housing, income-based, and unreachable. So as of right now, I'm not sure how many complexes are in the works of being built. So that was not a part of my analysis.
It'll be interesting next summer to see.
Yes.
So I'm going to echo what everybody else has said.
Yeah.
I mean, an amazing presentation. That
Thank
was
you.
wonderful. I guess the concern I see here, though, is the average age of our apartment stock in the city is 40 years old. And, well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask a question on that, because it says most recently built complexes is the average, but then most everything else here is done by units.
Right.
So one old complex with 5 apartments in it can skew this if you have a new apartment complex with 500 in it. If we're doing the most recently built by complex as opposed to the number of units.
Well, I have the total number of units per complex for the 5 complexes that were built within the last 5 years, if that would aid you.
I was just worrying, like with the CNI that we're working with downtown, we've got this low number for the South District of 1969. And if we build one magnificent area that counts as one complex in 2012, that's not going to bring the average up necessarily, according to this document.
I think what you're saying is the average based upon the number of complexes?
That's what it says, most recently built
Or based on the
complex.
number of units?
Yeah, doing the same data but breaking it down by units would probably give us a different picture.
Right.
But
But I have to say, if you drive the city, you do see a lot of aging apartment complexes out there that are pre-1979 also. So, I mean, you got to remember, too, that we have a lot of units that were built, in the 60s, early to late 60s that are still in function.
yeah, so the size of the complex could affect the data on that page.
I also thought it was interesting how much the rent, the rent has gone down in a year. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like, Camden, you may not think that's much, but that's a lot. the average rent going, I think I wrote it down.
Like-
It was like 80,
80-some dollars.
yeah, 80 some dollars. That's a lot in a year. Let's see, where did I write it? Did you write it down? You told us what last year's was.
It was 80. What? 1207.37 from 102.3.
Right, that,
34.
yeah, that's, to me, that's alarming, that much in a year. What did you say the
It was
numbers were
actually
about?
184, page 12.
Yeah, page 12.
Right.
Let me check my math.
100, again, that's 184 from 1 year. That's a big decrease in, I think, in rent in a year.
Yeah, that's a roughly a 15%
So it
decrease.
could depend on
That is
how
large.
the percentages were done last year, how they calculated it,
Yeah.
and who responded.
Well, from,
Just to clarify, the average. Sorry. The average rent last year was $1,027, not 1,270. So I know that when you presented, I think it was said both ways.
No, that
So I
was
just want to make
this-
sure that's the number that you'll have.
So go through the numbers.
1,207
So
$1,027 was the average rent here last year.
last year.
And what's this year?
$1,023.
$1,023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then it's $4.
That's
It's
my
$4.
Okay,
Okay, that
that's
makes me
better.
feel better. I was like,
Thank you.
well, it's still a decrease, and
yeah, but it's-
from an
$4.
investment component into a city, someone who's coming to look at investing into a place like Newport News and sees a declining rate year over year on the market rents,
That could be-
realizes that it could potentially not be a new,
that could just be in the numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's minor.
$4 isn't bad.
Yeah, I'm,
not when you typically underwrite 3 to 4% increases a year on your complex. So
So-
just, go ahead.
So I was going to say, in terms of the growth and where we're going from here forward, a lot of it comes down to how much land is out there available today, zoned appropriately to build apartments, because it's not always that easy to get apartment land rezoned here in the great city of Newport News. And there's not a whole lot of apartment land out there. So, and by the way, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Camden, what did you sort of glean from all of this, other than just gathering numbers and making charts?
So it was actually really fascinating. Last semester, when I was in Blacksburg at Virginia Tech, I studied the off-campus housing crisis for students in Blacksburg. And I found that there was a great need for apartments in the city, and I've always been pretty fascinated by it since then. So coming back to the city of Newport News, where I've grown up my entire life and learning the same thing except for a different city has been a great experience for me. But looking at these rental rates and the way that they're going, I'm not sure that I'll be back here. But it was a great study for me to undergo, and I really did have a great time doing this.
Well, I hope you
You
come
are-
back here because we need you. You can live with your dad free.
Free.
Just out of curiosity, were you able to determine any demographics, the average age of the occupants in these homes? Are we alluring the millennials in here, or are we a middle income type of?
So that was excluded from the study. It was really just the straight facts directly from the management company or whoever I spoke to representing the complex. Our target audience could be more career-oriented people. So while I was researching some of the newer complexes that were built within the last 5 years, I found that they were much more luxurious. They had a lot more amenities to accommodate people that would probably be a little older than myself. So these were things such as pools, gyms that were open at all hours of the night, outdoor lounging areas or bars. So I think that they're becoming more modern and they're trying to target a certain audience. Whether or not that's been successful, I'm unsure of.
So you feel like the rental market here might be overpriced for young college graduates?
Yes.
I think
Which is
that's
why you can
something
live
we
with-
need
Well,
to-
my only comparison, to be fair, is Blacksburg. And most of the rental rates that I've seen have maybe been 2/3 of the average rental rate in the city of Newport News. But again, it is a college town, and most of the actual residents there reside in homes. The apartments are they're not restricted to students, but they're definitely advertised as such, and they do a great deal to make sure that their first residents and tenants are students. So just through a quick analysis of the Blacksburg rental rates in comparison to Newport News, I would say that they're a little overpriced. However, that is biased.
So you could kind of extrapolate this, that younger millennials that might want to stay in the city of Newport News or move here, or the studio apartments might be a great investment for the future.
Except they were more expensive.
In part, it really depends on a personal preference, because as my analysis found, the studio bedroom is the most expensive per square foot. And especially if you're a college student or recently leaving college, you have a lot of debt on your hands. So I believe that that the number of 2-bedroom units is so large. The reason could be is that all of these millennials would like to split the cost of everything by having a roommate. And the studio units are probably for more career-oriented people, but a little bit older that would like their privacy. But as I found in the town of Blacksburg, as well as through my studies to an extent, that having a roommate would split the cost immensely, and it'd be a lot more affordable for the two tenants, or however many tenants there would be in the complex.
Commissioner?
I have a question. For next year, do you know if that's information that they would be able to give you, would be the age of the person renting?
I'm not entirely sure. That might be up to each individual management company. I don't think there's an like an overarching rule that would allow them or prevent them from providing that information. So off the top of my head, I don't know.
So for next year, if we want to find that information out, yeah, put it on the questionnaire. Thank you.
Any other further questions? Well, commissioners have covered all of my questions. Again, I would like to echo, you did a wonderful job. We're looking forward to hearing from you in the future, and we would like for you to come back to Newport News and be a part of this great development of this city. There is a place that we do know that you can board for minimum expense. So we would like for you to definitely return to this. I think you did an excellent job. Your voice was great. And we look forward to having young millennials or young adults, I would say, come up and be a part of a profession that is definitely a dinosaur, that has the interest, the concern about our apartments, our areas, our conditions, our living conditions, and matters that matter most to people. It's living conditions, where they live and how they live, how comfortable they are. As you said, the amenities do make a difference. Some people want the extra amenities and some don't. But definitely the presentation was very well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Executive Secretary?
Yeah, the Executive Secretary report.
I was thinking, did you get promoted?
Okay, I would also like to thank Camden for that wonderful presentation. And I would also like to thank the people that managed her this summer, and that was Brian Pierce, Senior Planner,
Right.
and Rhonda Russell, who's, I think they did a wonderful job, along with her parents.
Oh, that's enough. He knows.
Oh, me, okay. Okay, June 11th, City Council meeting. I think the 3 text amendments for short-term rental. I know you all had recommended approval, and you all had sent it on to the council. However, it is now back with staff, and council has asked us to do some additional research and outreach before we come back to them, mainly because the hospitality industry, they're concerned about its impact on the hospitality industry. So, so we're going to be doing some more outreach and some additional research and amending the regulations. Right now, we don't know how, but it'll be coming back to the Regulations Committee.
Questions? Do we need to? Thank you. You just answered my question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of areas around here that have Airbnb regs, aren't there? Like York
Yes.
County and, I mean, is the hospitality industry really that, it seems like these have taken an awfully long time. And I know there are people that are concerned about them. and would like to see them go ahead and move forward. And,
We're moving them forward as quickly as we can.
Any projected time that you were looking to send this back to the regulations?
I would hate to say right now exactly when that will be, but hopefully it would be before the end of the year.
Okay,
wow.
that's fine.
That's where we are on that one.
So the process would be back to regulations.
Yes.
We recommend then forward to planning commission, then went through the whole process again.
And what we're hoping is that we can do a little bit of outreach to get some of the input from people who, I mean, you have two opposing sides. You have the people that want short-term rentals, and then you have the hospitality industry. And then you have the neighborhoods, the neighbors. We haven't heard as much from the neighbors, but we know that people that want to do it, they just have differing views from the hospitality industry. We thought that we had included everything in there that would safeguard the neighborhoods, but, you know, we can always research it some more.
I think the main people that's gonna have a problem with it is gonna be the hotel.
Hotels.
So will we be reviewing the entire document or just the areas that city council recommends we change? It's almost like we're starting anew, right?
The entire
The
document.
entire document?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you envision your department getting input, getting additional input, rewriting it and then bringing it back? Or are we going to have discussion on how we might want to modify it?
We will probably get additional input, and with that additional input, we'll take all of that to the regulations committee. Because we feel as though we have really tight regulations right now. So it's just adding maybe some additional safeguards beyond what's in there already.
Okay, good. We look forward to hearing that.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Because it was fun to begin with.
But we did get a few things through. On June the 25th, council did approve the Tech Center Research Park, the master plan, and the conditional use permit for an electronic sign for First Baptist Church. Coming up September 4th, we were hoping that we could bring the Denby Work Area Plan, but we're probably looking at bringing that in October. So on September 4th, we'll have some text amendments when we adopted the One City, One Future Comprehensive Plan, the policy in that document was to do plan amendments once a year. So we will be bringing forward plan amendments on September 4th public hearing. They're relatively minor, but we need to bring them forward because we have some people who are waiting in the wings to either apply for a rezoning or a conditional use permit. So we need to bring those forward. Also, on September 18th, we have a special exception at 10 Sweetbriar Drive. We have no cases for August 21st. So what is your pleasure?
What should we do, Ms. Fox?
Wow.
I think we should definitely have a work session,
To discuss what?
or at least 4 or 5 hours.
You know, you joke at that, but we do have something that relates to the bylaws that could potentially be brought up into that work session.
Very true. I will put the August 21st matter before the commissioners to have an open discussion whether we should do this. We have some things that we should discuss. But looking at the date of August 21st, you said the next one is September 16th that be coming up?
No, I didn't mention the 16th.
What date was that for September?
September was for the special exception.
Yeah, what date was that?
I said the 18th.
The
Is it
18th.
the 18th or is it the 15th?
That's right, it's the 4th and
Okay.
18th.
Is the 18th? I just want to make, I wrote the wrong date down.
In all seriousness, if we are gonna have a work session, are there any items that you think we should discuss?
Well, if we have a work session, we can present the plan amendment and whatever else you all want to discuss.
If we did one, I would wanna discuss Airbnb.
Okay.
Any other suggestions while we are on this discussion?
What
For
about Denby
considerations.
Warwick? Is there any reason for us to go into that any further, or?
Well, the comment period ended the end of July. Was it the end of July? We did receive some comments, but I think the
Yeah.
comments were minor. But if you all want to hear what those comments were.
I did,
I
yeah.
would like to too,
Okay.
as well.
Ooh.
Any other added things that we would like to consider
What
as
about,
topics?
we had the first Lee Hall planning session was along with the development, wasn't it?
Yes, we basically introduced the update to, we
It was
basically stated that we would be doing the update to the Lee Hall area plan.
Right. But I don't think, is there anything to present at the work session on that?
No.
I did receive a letter about it, which I gave to you all, and I assume we'll discuss it at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, now
So-
that we filled up the agenda for August 21st,
I think we
I
did.
know what your pleasure is.
So now we have, as I had tallied here, that's 6 topics, right? Airbnb, the Denby work plan. We also are going to discuss some procedures pertaining to the Planning Commission. We also have the letter that we received from the Lee Hall Development. Or should we, or we want to discuss that?
Don't know anything about that one.
That's the one that we said we get a copy of.
I sent
From
a
Ms.
copy
Ballard.
to Flora.
Yes, from Ms. Ballard.
Well, we weren't really gonna discuss the Lee Hall
No,
area
yeah.
plan.
Good.
That was just
All right.
for-
So that's 4 items.
Okay.
I think you gave Ms. Fox her 5 hours. Mr. Fox, nice job.
Did we get lunch?
If
So-
we start at noon,
Yes. If
I
we should-
can't have lunch meeting.
Okay. So now we
Okay.
have to work around a time frame. So I will put the matter before the commission to make here to vote on it. But I would like for us to go ahead and do that work session on 21st.
I recommend approval at 2:00 we start.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
okay, okay. All right, okay, my last item is I just wanted to make you all aware that Ms. Rhonda Russell, our assistant our assistant director of comprehensive planning, will be leaving us the end of this month. So I just wanted to say thank you to her. I know it was short, but still, I just wanted to say thank you to her, and I just wanted to make you all aware that she will be leaving the end of the month.
Oh, well, thank you. And we wish you well in your new endeavors. Okay. Ms. McAllister, that's it?
That ends my report.
Well, thank you. Very good. Are there any committee reports? Is there any unfinished business?
Yes, there is.
All right.
So as was mentioned earlier, Sheila was thanking Rhonda and Brian for being good mentors for our intern and being the father. So at dinner time, I'd often say, "What'd you do at work today, sweetheart?" And I would get a wonderful, very positive, uplifting response. And so because of that discussion, that dinner table type discussion, it's very apparent and to me that the things that were going on in the planning department went way beyond planning. And I sincerely appreciate the mentoring and the help. I believe it does take a village, and what a great village it's been this summer. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good.
I didn't cry.
A proud papa. He thought about it too, didn't he?
She is never
did.
gonna come back here, you know that.
She's got a free place to stay, apparently.
Yes, because her parents are moving into a studio for the privacy.
Okay, moving right along.
Okay.
Poor thing.
Any new business?
She's so embarrassed.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
It's cute as can be. I still came from